Over 12 million people immigrated to America between 1892 and 1954, and the majority of them came through the Ellis Island Federal Immigration Station, located in New York Harbor. The first immigrant to walk through its doors was Annie Moore of Ireland. Millions would follow, including Bob Hope and Rudolph Valentino. Today, their descendants account for more than 40% of America's population. In recognition of the important role Ellis Island played in American history, the main building was reopened as an immigration museum in 1992. Covering over 200,000 square feet, the museum features historical recreations and a number of exhibits, including the American Immigrant Wall of Honor. The Ellis Island Immigrant Museum.
Hello, I'm Eric Estrada. I share a deep concern for the safety of children. My friend Eddie Eagle has reached millions of children by teaching them a simple, life-saving message.
Stop! Don't touch! Leave the area! Tell an adult! Yeah!
If you see a gun, remember. Stop. Don't touch. Leave the area. Tell an adult. Call toll-free now and get Eddie Eagle into your school.
Did you know that 1 in 5 Americans has trouble reading a job application or a newspaper? When I was 15, I realized someone very close to me couldn't read. So I became an adult literacy tutor. This year, I've traveled the country. I've seen how improving literacy skills can move people away from welfare, crime, and poverty. It's National Literacy Month. Why don't you get involved? Learn more. Call us at 1-800-228-8813.
We know we can count on you to do what Smokey says. Smokey says!
Only you.
No, you don't play with matches. That's not cool. Tell mom and dad to break them, stop them. Yeah, that's the rule.
And when your folks desire to build a fire, clear brush and branches away, and keep water nearby like you oughta. Did someone say otter?
We're all counting on you.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Be right back.
When Michael first came to the boys' club, he was 7 years old. A tough kid who only came to play basketball. After a while, he got into other things.
Michael.
Like computers, special tutoring.
Thanks.
You could see him changing, learning to believe in himself.
Hey, Mikey. Look at you.
And this year, Michael won a scholarship. The first one in his family ever to go to college.
You know, I'm gonna miss this place. Yeah, well, this place is gonna miss you, pal.
And that's what the boys' club is all about.
It's like someone's here to play basketball.
We think every kid should have the chance to be the best he can.
If you smoke while you're pregnant, the joy of motherhood could be rather short-lived.
As the American frontier pushed westward, it was the duty of the U.S. Army to defend our changing borders. The logistical challenges of this mission were staggering. To support small detachments scattered over thousands of miles, the Army had to maintain widely separated posts on the frontier.
Is the supply wagon here yet?
Not yet.
At Fort Laramie, for instance, the nearest supply depot was at Cheyenne, almost 90 miles away. The distance and the ruggedness of the journey made it advisable to keep 6 months' supplies on hand. Supplies were obtained by contract in the east and shipped by rail, riverboat, and wagon train to the post nearest the troops.
Supplies, sir.
But sometimes supplies went astray and took months or even years to
Tell
arrive.
the cook we eat tonight. Well, I'll be danged.
Military logistics has come a long way since then.
A child's mind is like a sponge, soaking up everything it sees and hears. Hurtful words and actions can make a child withdraw and question self-worth. Constant criticism can trap a child in a world of hostility and doubt. But words of praise and gestures of love can free a child, boosting confidence and self-esteem, helping color a much brighter future.
1 pound of body fat equals 3,500 calories. For every pound of stored fat you want to lose, you must burn 3,500 more calories than you consume. One way to do this is to decrease the amount of calories you take in. Another way is to increase your level of physical activity, or best of all, do both. It's a simple equation. 1 pound of body fat equals 3,500 calories.
Moving is stressful for everyone. It takes a while to adjust to a new location, and children can take even longer to adjust than adults.
Zach has had a hard time adjusting. Perhaps it's the move.
To make your next move easier on your children and yourself, see your Relocation Assistance Program Manager before you move.
Now, a final question. Was it ethically correct for our esteemed colleague to accept a sundial watch as a retirement gift?
And what was the value of the sundial? And who presented you with the sundial?
Brutus?
I don't see the significance.
Ethically speaking, I'd say your history.
If you are faced with an ethical question, check with your legal affairs office. It's undebatably the best answer.
George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, names familiar to all Americans as creators of the Constitution. But there were others at Independence Hall during the summer of 1787, people less well known perhaps, but still important members of the Constitutional Convention. Alexander Hamilton was George Washington's secretary during the Revolutionary War and was instrumental in putting the convention together. Roger Sherman from Connecticut suggested a compromise between the desires of the large and small states. That compromise created the two houses of Congress. Governor Morris of Pennsylvania was entrusted with putting the final words down on paper. These are but a few of the representatives who signed the Constitution and have become known as the founding fathers of our United States.
Garrett Morgan left home at age 14, seeking his niche in life, and eventually opened his own sewing machine shop in Cleveland, Ohio. But he spent his off hours dreaming up inventions and building them in his workshop. One of those inventions, a filtered breathing device, would save lives. Initial sales of the inhalator enjoyed some success among local fire departments, but it wasn't until July of 1916 that the inhalator gained national attention. An explosion in a tunnel trapped 30 men in what appeared to be a hopeless situation. Morgan was called to the scene. With his breathing device, he went in and retrieved every man. In World War I, his gas mask would become standard equipment for soldiers in the field, and his invention would be responsible for saving countless lives in decades to come. Garrett Morgan, a story of American ingenuity.
Whenever you're outside, protect your skin from the hot, scorching sun. Because too much sun with too little protection can cause skin cancer. So reach for the sunscreen first. And save your skin.
Hey, man. Want to taste of something make you feel good?
You feel low.
Try it out. You don't know what you're missing. A little crack won't hurt you.
It'll make me a cracker.
Won't cost you nothing. This one's on me. Absolutely free.
I said no, man.
Good job, son. That's just what you do if that ever happens.
Okay, Dad.
Deal with your kids. Tell them the truth about drugs. It could be the most important role you ever play.
Like how you handled yourself.
The Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award for conspicuous gallantry in battle, was first conceived and presented during the Civil War. The Navy Medal of Honor of 1861 and the Army Medal of Honor of 1862 led to the Medals of Honor we know today. The Medal of Honor, another military first from the Civil War.
People love to exercise. Even in the coldest places, you can find people working out. But if you're moving from a cold climate to a warm one, it's important to start slowly and gradually increase your physical activity until your body can acclimate to the warmer temperatures. Eating foods high in potassium can help. Get used to the heat and avoid heat injuries.
Chief, thank you for inviting me here. It is indeed an honor. But just to clarify, when you invited me here, did you mean to dinner or for dinner?
Good heavens. Certainly you didn't think.
Well, my appetite is improving already.
It's really helpful and rewarding to learn the customs and traditions of your host country.
And it's a great way to avoid ending up in hot water.
Hello, my name's Amy Grant. Our country's education reform movement, which emphasizes math and sciences, is important, and we should all support that. But let's not forget that music and the other arts are also important. They help teach discipline, creativity, and problem-solving skills. The teaching of music is becoming diminished and even disappearing in some schools, and our nation is poorer for it. We cannot let it continue. So get involved, support music in our schools. I do.
In the land of Butch Cassidy, in eastern Utah, are 75,000 acres of sandstone hills, shifted and shaped by wind, water, ice, and heat into remarkable natural carvings. Sculptures that inspire the imagination, like delicate arch, or defy logic like landscape bridge. Unlike any other place on Earth, Arches National Park contains close to 1,500 holes, arches, and bridges. An awe-inspiring collection of the random art of time.
Aerial surveillance has revolutionized military strategy. Even in World War I, aerial cameras like this replica were used by U.S. Army observation units, and the surveillance photos helped turn the tide in favor of the Allies. In the summer of 1918, the Germans had fought their way to the Marne River. The Allies halted the advance, but knew the Germans were massing for another attack. Desperate to know the German positions, the Allied command called on the American First Corps Observation Group. Day after day, the First Corps pilots flew low over enemy lines. They were under constant attack. Yet, on the eve of the German assault, the group discovered the main enemy supply depot. Bombers destroyed the depot, weakening the German attack and setting the stage for a successful Allied counteroffensive. The pilots of the 1st Corps Observation Group, a proud part of America's legacy of courage.
When PCSing, there isn't room on an inventory list to accurately describe the worth or condition of certain items. So it might be a good idea to photograph or videotape your valuable possessions. That way you have a visual record of your belongings you can carry with you to your new location. And it can save you a lot of hassles in case anything is lost or damaged. You've heard the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. In the case of a PCS, it could be worth $1,000.
In the military, moving is a fact of life. But your relocation assistance program can help. Before you move, the program can give you information about your community and help you plan everything. When you arrive at your new home, the relocation assistance program can help with services there, too. If you have a move coming up, contact your relocation assistance program manager at your family center. It's always a good move.
On November 26, 1968, an Air Force armed transport helicopter under the command of First Lieutenant James P. Fleming was called to help rescue a special forces team trapped in hostile territory in South Vietnam. The 6-man patrol was pinned against a river with heavily armed enemy all around. There was no place for a helicopter to land. Fleming headed for the riverbank. He hovered dangerously just above the shoreline, but the Americans couldn't make it to the pickup point. He made a second pass, dropping below the bank. The Americans turned their backs on the enemy and dashed for the helicopter, jumping aboard just as Fleming took off downriver in a barrage of fire. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action, Air Force First Lieutenant James P. Fleming, the Medal of Honor.
Parking was a problem in many cities during the 1930s. Shoppers, often unable to find a spot, had to park blocks away and walk. So Carl McGee, an Oklahoma City newspaper editor and member of the Chamber of Commerce Traffic Committee, came up with the idea of renting a few yards of curb space by the hour. His invention, the parking meter. On July 16, 1935, the first meters in the country were installed on a busy street in Oklahoma City. And almost as soon as they went up, parking problems went down. Shoppers able to park close to the stores made more purchases, making the merchants very happy. The parking meter solved a problem for which you can either thank or blame this Oklahoma journalist. Carl McGee, a story of American ingenuity.
Slavery, a major concern in Philadelphia during the long, hot summer of 1787 when our founding fathers were creating the United States Constitution. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, among others, felt that slavery should be abolished, though they had slaves of their own. As debate continued, it was clear that the Constitution would never be finished, much less ratified, if it directly addressed the situation. So the question of slavery raged on for over half a century, finally causing the outbreak of the Civil War. In the aftermath of this devastating confrontation, the 13th Amendment was added to the Constitution, which reads in part, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States," an end to slavery, and the beginning of a Constitution that truly reflected freedom and equality for all.
The American River in California, where gold lying in plain sight in the river's shallow eddies set off gold fever in 1849. Today it teems with adventurers of a different kind. Dropping swiftly out of the Sierras to the California Valley, the churning water of the American's North Fork challenges thousands of rafters every year. On some days, kayaks are not quite big enough. running the old Gold Rush River. It's a fever of a different kind.
See this camera? It's like a magic wand. You can take an idea and turn it into something that you can see and experience as if it were real.
The spirit of imagination. It's one of the qualities that's placed America in the forefront of the arts and sciences throughout our history. It was present back in 1844, when Samuel Morse did the impossible and transmitted the first telegraph message between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. It was at the 1939 New York World's Fair, where the World of Tomorrow theme gave millions their first glimpse of a wondrous new technology known as television. And it's the spirit that inspired the creators of America's memorial statues.
The technical wizardry that created the motion picture is the same inspiration that feeds our dreams. The spirit of imagination.
Thanks for coming. Our military community really needs your blood donation. Feeling okay?
Well, I've never done this before.
It's natural to be a little nervous.
Yeah?
You don't need to worry. Giving blood is safe and sterile. There's no chance of getting AIDS.
Well, that's good to know.
Yep, my husband and I give regularly, every couple of months.
Please give at your medical treatment facility.
Are you ready to learn how to drive, to swim, to dance? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 1. To find yourself. To prove yourself. To learn how to fly. Are you ready to make noise? To play hard? Are you ready? Be all you can be.
We all have our daily routines. And most of us clean up after ourselves. Even when we shower, we leave things in order. We don't expect others to live with our mess. Most of us are naturally considerate, while others can be real, well, you know. Be considerate.
Remember, writing bad checks will jeopardize your credit reputation and your military career.
Many early American inventors had some interesting ideas on weight reduction. Take, for example, the abdominal fat-reducing appliance. Looking like an instrument of torture worthy of the Spanish Inquisition, the overweight subject would be strapped to the underside of the device and rocked back and forth like a giant ink blotter. The pounds-a-weight weight reducer was a large self-operated contraption. The subject would get inside the movable tube and take hold of the handles. Then, by pulling down on the handles, the tube is stretched up and down the entire body. The user usually ended up with very strong arms and 2 sore hips. And finally, here was a way to work out and see the countryside at the same time, using the rowing bicycle. Instead of pedal power, this invention had the bicycle's rear axle hooked up to oars through a system of pulleys. So each stroke turned the wheel as you merrily rode your way to physical fitness. They were all good weight-reducing ideas that needed a little more work back at the drawing board.
Hey, have you guys seen Richard?
No.
No. Anybody here seen Richard?
No.
Richard! Any of you seen Richard?
Being in the military isn't always easy. With the pressures of military life, some may decide that suicide is the only way out. The best way to prevent this tragedy is for each person to watch out for his or her buddy. If a person you know is in trouble, don't wait for someone else to help. By getting personally involved, you might save a life.
Hey, I've been looking all over for you. Everything okay?
If you need help, contact your chaplain or family center.
In the Gallery of Heroes, Navy Lieutenant Lucius Campbell has earned a place of honor. Observation of the enemy is critical to military intelligence, and during World War II, few places on Earth were more difficult to observe than the fog-shrouded Aleutian Islands of Alaska. It was there that Navy Lieutenant Campbell was engaged in observation duty. Braving heavy weather, Campbell was flying a Catalina flying boat when he spotted a concentration of enemy ships. Soon, however, he too was spotted, and Japanese Zeros zoomed in for the kill. As bullets tore through his plane, Campbell continued to signal vital information back to base. For his valor, Campbell was awarded the Navy Cross. Navy Lieutenant Lucius Campbell, a credit to his service and to all who have fought so bravely.